Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Inkylesconvo. Now, today's guest is the amazing. I was actually so happy he decided to come on the show because as soon as he speaks, anybody of the same age as me or anybody younger will be like, I know exactly who that is. It's Marcus Bentley. How are you doing, mate?
Doing great, Kyle. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, it's lovely to meet you too. Honestly, and I don't say this a lot, but it genuinely is an honor to get you on the show. I have to say.
Very kind.
Yeah, your work, and obviously we'll get into your work and stuff. But your work in Big Brother. As soon as I seen that, I was like, "There's no way this can be the same guy. There's no way." Like you responded, But we made just for before we get into that, how did you get into voice narration and things like that? Where did this all stem from?
I'm an actor originally. I left drama school in '92, and do you know what? I hit the ground running, and I got into plays and theatre. I won a Fringe first at Edinburgh in a play I was in '93. I did what? There's not much of it left these days, but I did a season or two of rep at the Westcliff Palace Theatre, so which is quite an old-fashioned sort of repertory theatre. So you're doing like 3 plays at once type of thing over a course of a few months, and then lots of Fringe theatre. I was even in a film with Elizabeth Hurley, who was big at the time. She just sort of done. She was with Hugh Grant, and she came out of the premiere of 4 Weddings and a Funeral in a Versace dress, which basically she just was one of the most famous women in Britain. Anyway, she's in this film. The film bombed. It's called Mad Dogs and Englishmen, and I've got a very small role in that. And so that was all that was all exciting. And I was doing things like The Bill and. Which was a TV cop show, which was a long-running thing. London's Burning. I just was doing loads, and then I changed agents at one point, and I did loads of InVision commercials. I was doing commercials. So what I'm saying is, I did 9 commercials in 18 months, which is phenomenal, which is great. I was the end of a lot of my acting friends who, because they get paid well. This is my mid 90s by this stage. I was I was working, and that's all you as an actor, which I still consider myself as an actor, is you've got to keep work. That's got to be the ambition. The ambition, of course, is to be as good as you can, but basically is to keep working. And because I've got loads of mates who I went to drama school with who were brilliant actors, but they just never made it because it's so tough. And if you don't get a break at the beginning, how are you going to earn a living? So, I've been fortunate, I might not be doing much or if any acting these days. I do intend to return one day. But anyway, all this waffle is to say that eventually it all dried, sort of towards the end of the 90s, it all dried up. So I had a glorious 5 years of just working. And then it dried up for about 2 years where it was really difficult. And I was doing Fringe theatre, I did the odd paid job every now and again. And it was just sort of it's just like soul destroying. So you think, oh God. And then that's what it's like when you're a freelancer, when you're always looking for your next job anyway. So I decided I was going to change agent. I think I've done many, many times. Before and since. So I changed agent, and I accidentally there's a thing called Spotlight for actors, and there's you join, and there's a handbook with called Contacts, or at least there used to be, I'm sure there still is, where it's got loads of eminent people in there, like casting directors, etc., agents, etc. And I just randomly wrote, because of course, email was around I didn't have email. So this is about 1998, and I didn't have email. So you wrote, and I wrote to about 5 agents randomly, and I accidentally wrote to a top voiceover agent, and they rang me up the next morning. So they must have just got it, opened the post, and got, all right. Because what it was, they had a job for me that day. They said, "Oh, we haven't got any." The top voiceover agent, they had mega clients and still have. They had they said, look, not only we haven't got any Geordies on our books, but we've got a casting fee, we've got a job for you today. And the job was to this is how stupid people are. The job was to it was for a radio commercial to impersonate Paul Gascoigne. I mean, not an impersonator, but whatever. It was for the London Science Museum, and I can't remember this today, but that was my first job, my first professional voiceover job. God knows whatever happened to that. So that's how I got into voiceovers. Now, again, it was like, wow, suddenly I had a voiceover career, and whereas the acting had dried up, I was starting to get quite a few things. There's this thing what we used to call dubbing. Putting a voice on a film or somebody else's work, but it seems to be called ADR these days, which is, what's it called? Audio, like dialogue replacement. So there was a few things I did. The biggest thing I did, and I didn't know at the time, this is voiceover work. This is voiceover work's not just commercials and narration. There's loads of aspects to it. And so this is one of the first jobs I did was we went, and the producers got hold of a load of Geordie actors, and we all went down to meet this famous film director, and he was doing this film provisionally called Dancer, which became Billy Elliot, and he was doing the post-production on Billy Elliot. And so we were like watching all the rushes and stuff, and we were having to do this audio dialogue replacement for it, and it's great fun. So there's loads of crowd scenes, and you just have a laugh with your mates, and then sometimes, occasionally, you've got actually lines to say, like sort of. So for some reason, I don't know if you can remember Billy Elliot, even if you've seen it, but there's a big scene at the end, for example, where Billy has just learned, and he's told his dad that he's got into dancing school, and the miners, he's a miner, he's on a strike, and all the miners are going to go, they've been on strike for ages, they're really poor, and there's lots of, it's all set around the miners' strike in the 80s. And the dad is so happy, he rushes down to the working men's club, he bursts through the door, and he's just about to sort of shout, Billy's gone into a dance school, whatever, when this big fat bloke turns the camera and goes, whatever, I can't remember the dad's name, he goes, Billy, we're all getting back to work tomorrow, or something like that. And that's me, and I can hear it's me, because obviously this big fat bloke wasn't he wasn't an actor for some reason, or they didn't like how he did it. And so when I actually see that film, I can literally hear my voice over this big fat bloke's coming through his mouth. It's really, really strange, but that's great fun. So I did lots of stuff like that. I did a TV series called Badger with Jerome Flynn, a lot of ADR work on that as well. And I was doing like commercials, like for Birdseye, for some of the newspapers. It was nice. It was really like ticking over, and then all of a sudden, it had been brutal. You could see it in the papers. There's this new TV show happening, and they're building a big studio in the East End, in the 3 Mills Studios in the East End, and it's come from Holland. It's a big success in Holland. It's called Big Brother. There's going to be like 64 cameras filming these housemates, 10 housemates, 24 hours a day, etc., etc. And like people were thinking, "How is that going to work?" Anyway, when you are a voiceover, you've got like a show reel, and in those days, like these days, the show reels are all in MP3 files or whatever. But in those days, they weren't even on CD; they were on cassettes. So I had a demo. It was on a cassette. So my agent would have had like loads, like all her clients. They must have had cupboards full of our cassettes. So what happened was, behind the scenes of Big Brother, they were looking for somebody to narrate the show. Now, it got bigger and bigger, Big Brother, lengthwise as well. And it was originally 9 weeks long, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And And I would go in when I finally got the job. You'd go in and you'd be there for hours and hours, right? So now I presume, like if a show came like this came today, they'd probably try and get somebody famous to do it, but you can't get. It was an unknown thing, and you can't really get somebody famous, say Sean Bean, to come in and sit around all day to do every day, 7 days a week, because he'd be off filming somewhere. So they've got to get a regular guy, really, or girl. That's how I think it would have worked. And so they thought about that and thought, right, what do we do? So they've gone through all the voiceovers and that, and so regional types. So I was a regional type. So they've got and I was fortunate enough to be with a big voiceover agent. They just sent all their regional types, and I found out later, and this is a story I always tell, is that I found out later at a later date that the Channel 4 commissioning editor, because it was Endemol, or they'll call what they call Basil in those days. It was Endemol. And they produce it. They produced it for Channel 4. And Channel 4 have got really the final say on everything, because they're buying it and they're broadcasting it.
Yeah.
And so the commissioning editor is basically in charge of the show from Channel 4's perspective, and she's got the final say. They have. And anyway, she told me when I had to do a demo. And I just bought, talk about technology, you could do it all on your phone these days. But in those days, I just bought myself a mini disc player, which I think are obsolete now. Well, they will be. And I bought myself one of these, and it was just happened to be recordable. Because you could buy like your music on these discs, which were quite expensive anyway. But you could record in it. And so I thought, right, they wanted me to do a bit of dialogue. So I went to Curry's. It was called Dixon's in those days, and I bought myself an £8 microphone and stuck it in this thing. And they give me a bit of script, and it was typical Big Brother fare. It was like, so and so's in the garden, this and whatever. The boys are in the bedroom talking about they wouldn't like their mother to know, all that type of stuff. And then, but one of the lines was, Darren's in the garden feeding the chickens, and the kitchen editor apparently loved the way I said the word chickens, and that's what got me the job. But it's like anything. Why does anyone get chosen? I mean, a lot of people would get chosen because they're highly qualified or whatever, but you just tickle someone's fancy sometimes. You might have the face that fits. You might you could have just a quirk about you. But anyway, my quirk was they liked the way I said the word chickens, and that's what got me the job. So that's how I got Big Brother. That's why we're talking here today. And I did it for 18 years, and it's been off air now for 3 years, and hopefully it'll return before too long. So, it's been great. It gets me work to this day. And especially in the beginning, it just went absolutely. I know you're not asking these questions, but it just went mental. I got asked a question on Twitter a couple of days ago, and somebody said, I've always wanted to know, how did you feel when it first started? Because you didn't know how big it was going to be. Well, it got big straight away. Yeah. It was just, I was there for about 14 hours the first day. It was knackering, just sitting around as they changed and chopped and whatever. And it just went massive straight away. Within a week, the newspapers were like getting in contact with my agents. They were wanting to interview me, want me on little TV shows. There were more voiceovers were coming in. It just went massive. Everybody was talking about it. I remember, because obviously nobody knew what I looked like. I went to get my hair cut about a week or so into it. And that's all anyone was talking about. And I was thinking, oh my God. They were talking about me. They were impersonating me. Like, dear one, whatever, it goes. And it was, and the papers was just full of it. It was just mental. So, people have been fascinated with it ever since.
Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, the thing is though is that it didn't only go like, see, when it first came out, and that everybody was like, I wonder like if it's just going to be like a specific age group because of the type of, as everybody know, the type of stuff that was in the show and stuff like that. But it didn't. I mean, we as you say that, I mean, we used to pretend to be you at the show. That's the thing. We were like 9 a.m. in the maths classroom, and like we used to like imitate what you said in our actual classroom. That's the thing. Like you,
but you know, it was that big. It affects TV to this day. And now this is when you say that, right? So I've made loads of friends in the industry, and I don't know if you watch. Like you see, you watch Big Brother. I don't know if you watched like all the way through. We didn't have to do. But do you remember? At one point when it was still on Channel 4, they had a character called The Tree. Do you remember that?
Kind of. Tree. Sort of, yeah.
So basically, it was like and eventually in the next series, they made it into a chest of drawers, and it was like it's a tree, and it would give people secret missions, and it was quite characterful. The voice was quite characterful, and it was done by the head of Task, a guy called Daniel Nettleton, who basically is one of the bosses of what's it called, The Masked Singer. He's responsible for bringing The Masked Singer, his company, to the UK. And well, I tell you this, it was how he got into it. He was a massive Big Brother fan, and he used to have student parties every Friday when there was an eviction. They'd all dress up, they'd all have the cheese and wine and nibbles, they'd all have a theme. For the finale, etc., they'd create their own drama school, and they'd absolutely put it on. And then one day, about a year, maybe it's into around Big Brother 4, there was a job going, and he went and auditioned for the job, and he knew more about Big Brother than anybody else. And before that, and I'll kid you not, he was how can I say this politely? Do you know those people that sell charity on the high street? Chuggers, muggers, you know.
The buskers.
No, do you know the people on the high street who try and get your bank account details to subscribe to
an earthquake? The boards and stuff like that. Yeah.
All that, you know, they get in politely called chuggers, charity muggers, because, you know. And anyway, he was one of those people, like hassling people on the high street, and sort of like he's like a top producer now. And I just am waffling on, as I say, but you know, it inspired him to a brilliant TV career. So, you know, and you know, it's been a massive ride, and I've got lots of friends who started off as young producers on it, who are sort of, you know, heading big companies across the world, you know, especially in America. You know, you're doing all these big massive shows, and you know, they say, I mean, it was so many, especially originally, because the technology whittled it down eventually. But originally, there was every day there was something like 500 people working on Big Brother. That's the cameramen, the producers, the sound people, the electricians, the caterers, I could go on and on and on. It was a massive and expensive production, and you know, and those people have all gone into, you know, all the other big shows that we see today, the X Factor, Love Island, you know, etc. So, you know, it has had a massive effect on world TV, not just British TV. I mean, they said at one point, this is a few years back, and if you think about it, it's right. I'm not saying it's a brilliant thing, but they say that Big Brother is one of the most influential TV programs of all time, because you think of what we wouldn't have, you know, if it was Big Brother. There is nothing like Big Brother. There is, you know, there are imitations and, you know, deviations of our format, but there's nothing like it. You know, Towie and Chelsea and the Geordie Shore, or whatever it's called, they're all scripted, and you know, and even like something like Love Island, which is the king of the crop at the moment, is so popular because it's got that amazing sort of format where people have got to cop off. That's the genius of that. But Big Brother is relatively organic, of course. The things are introduced to manipulate, and but relatively, things happen organically, and the drama.
Yeah,
but,
it's like this new TV program called Traitors or Teammates. I got told about this the other day. It's going on by BBC, and it's effectively there's one traitor within like a set of, I think it's like 20 people or something. It's going to be on TV, but it's so like Big Brother. It's unreal. I don't know if it's going to be narrated or nothing like that, but I got told about it, and I was like, this is another thing that like so much stemmed from Big Brother, and I think that's like it definitely brought TV. It's like I always when we were talking about it in college or uni or wherever I am at that, or even with people, I always say it's Big Brother was like the social media type of TV world. As soon as, like, for example, Instagram and Twitter got brought in that, it kind of just blew up and changed everything the way it was meant to be.
I think that's Big Brother will come back because there's nothing like it, because and and it's the thing that some of the Big Brother stories with like the love affairs and what have you. And if that doesn't happen, that's a shame. But there are other the disagreements, the finding out about people, and arguably it's where the show went to a less watched channel, Channel 5, in 2010, when it was sort of peaking on Channel 4, but Channel 4 got rid of the show because of the controversy with the racist remarks made by Jade Goody, etc., and others towards Shilpa Shetty, and it was caused such a bad furore that Channel 4 wanted to get rid of it. But now, and Channel 4, because it is a public company, hasn't got shareholders. It's like it basically answers to the people. They felt that they should get rid of it, even though it made. Now, I worked independently at Channel 4 as an announcer when I wasn't doing Big Brother, and we were told that it made, in those days, made £250 million profit for Channel 4. You think about that. That's what Channel 4 were giving up, 250 million quid when they got rid of Big Brother, and they've never replaced it. That's when it was massive. That was profit. So so Channel 5 just snapped it up. But the things changed at Channel 5. Richard Desmond, the owner, he owns the Express newspaper, etc., and all those magazines. He sold it, and he was a big, he realized Big Brother was a big selling point. Anyway, as we know, there was a certain demise, and you could feel it. And I think as Love Island came in and whatever, and Channel 4 I imagine. Not Channel 4, Channel 5 and Endemol would try to chase that, a little bit. Maybe I'm maybe sort of doing them a disservice, but a show has to evolve. I know a lot of the fans these days go, we want Big Brother back, but it has to go back to basics, how it was. Well, maybe, but you've got it, we have changed in 20 years. An organic sort of evolution of a show through a series, that's all great, but you've got to have certain things in. We want more older people now. Channel 4 often used to put older people in there, and I want to say older people, like over 40, but it invariably didn't work, because, well, I don't know, because that's up to debate, really, but. So it was very difficult, and I could see that by the time it was like coming towards its end days on Channel 5, they were looking for a ready-made guaranteed housemate. Not all of them. Some of them have been on other things like the obscure reality shows, and they knew the ropes a little bit. And some of the fans had seen these people before, and of course, there's all that thing, isn't there? You know, even in the Channel 4 days, we'd have a housemate who would go in, they'd do their VTs, they'd meet the producers, they'd work in workshops with them, and that's how they were chose. And they'd be giving it everything and whatever. And as soon as they got on Big Brother, they went closed down and were like mice. And people were going, why on earth is that person in? The producers would be, you know, fuming because they'd been hoodwinked. I can't remember some of the housemates' names, but there was one girl around Big Brother, I'm going to say 6th time, who they were really banking on. I think, oh my God, she is amazing. And she was terrible. She was just like, they were going, who is that person? That's not the person who was giving it the bigger, being all excitable and just an amazing housemate when we did a dry run. Or sometimes before a Big Brother run, they do a what they called a guinea pig week, so to test the cameras out, to get everybody doing, and they'd pick sort of people that they were on their shortlists and things to go in as guinea pigs to, and some things were just unbelievable because it was never going to be broadcast, so they could be like really outrageous, and sometimes they'd pick these people to go on the actual show from these guinea pig weeks, and they just couldn't believe that the change in these people, and they'd be furious. And I remember one time they this is Channel 4 days, they manipulated a situation to get rid of this housemate. Like, do you want one of these sort of like immediate, you know, sort of immediate like backdoor evictions, we used to call them, you know, where they'd come to die. I can't quite remember what they did because they were furious. I can't remember the person's name, but I'm not going to say it. But yeah.
Yeah. I've so many questions, but one thing I'm curious about what you said is about bringing it back. And with the way how to word this question, with the way culture is just now, do you think they could bring? I know obviously they could, you know, money, finance. I'm pretty sure they would. I mean, I applied to go on, but I never got selected. But I did the whole video thing and all this sort of stuff loads of times. Everybody I know did, to be honest with you. But do you think they could actually bring it back with the culture and with like the way we're kind of going and with social media now type thing? Do you think they could?
Do you mean, are you like inferring if, are you like thinking how you talking about the cancel culture? Are you talking about
the way things are now?
Well, even the last series that was at the end of 2018, so just over 3 years ago, and I can't even remember the person's name, but I think it was that series. They had a housemate. It might have been the year before, but they had a housemate in the what we used to call the civilian Big Brother, the non-celebrity. They had a housemate who started off, and then just like they do with these footballers, they should have. This was a mistake. Suddenly somebody found on a 10-year. So it must have been about 2018 because it was about 10 years previous on Twitter. So if Twitter was around in 2000, anyway, it was something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
They tweeted as a young, like 14-year-old, whatever, something racist or something similar, out the house straight away. And so so that we've already battled with that because, and that's the sort of thing they don't just pick the housemates. They go, wow, I love this bunch. They have to do background checks. You can't. Well, I don't think maybe they did. You know, if someone's got a police record, depending on what the police record is, they can't go in the house or all those type of things within reason. I'm sure if somebody shoplifted when they were 15, it would be pretty cruel not to have them in the house. You know, not like, you know, politics, but yeah, there's a big vetting process that they have to go through, and then there's a mental health vetting process, which is actually continues throughout the show. they can come to the diary room at any time, the housemates, and ask for the 24. There's a psychologist on hand 24 hours. Was a psychologist on hand 24 hours a day to speak to them about their mental health. So yes, I think so, and I also think that eventually that people will get a little sick of the cancel culture when people say things that maybe is offensive. Now, I remember Big Brother 5, which is sort of what you're asking. Around Big Brother 5, I think it was Big Brother 5, the one that Nadia won.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was a foreign chap. He was either Iranian or Iraqi, can't remember, and he was called Ahmed. And his VT. So he goes, I hate gays, I hate puffs or whatever. He was like disgusting. And he was in the show, and of course on Big Brother we have lots of wonderful gay people on the show, and that's why he was in there. Now, I don't think you could have that these days. You couldn't have somebody starting off going into Big Brother going, I hate gays. They disgust me. It wouldn't fly, would it? We would not allow that because it's so big and disgusting that, you know. But where do you draw the line? We know, as you say, society is social media is very sensitive to any opinion that isn't the same as our own. I know I am about things. Go, how dare they think that, you know. But maybe we'll change. We'll have to change a little bit, because it's like this, and I'm not condoning this, or because this weird Jimmy Carr joke about the gypsies and the Holocaust on his show. I don't get it. I don't get how. I understand the intellect about a challenging sort of. He was challenge his audience to. What do you find funny? But it was disgusting what he said. So I don't get that. I don't get that at all. So so maybe we all have to ask questions of certain things. But as far as Big Brother housemates, within reason, I mean, people were removed from the house over the years for all sorts of things that even towards the end, and I don't think it's even in. There was a couple of people. There was a person in the last Celebrity Big Brother that was removed, and there was a person in the last show that was removed. The last.
What was that guy? There was a guy. A ginger-haired guy. The reason I was mean because you can't see it, but I'm naturally ginger hair. My hair's went brown for some odd reason. But he was in the garden, and at the door to the garden, if the main door was here, there was a bit here like security door, and there was something to do with his underwear, like it wasn't clean or he couldn't find it or something. And I mind he went over to the security door, yanked it out. And then they were going, they actually mind to take him out of the show. That's one of the things. I know that was a while ago, but I can remember that happening as well. Yeah,
but I mean, what these two people had done is because I don't think it's common knowledge, so I can't say it, but they'd said something unbelievable. They both said, one was in Celebrity, one was in Civilian, and this guy, I can't remember his name. He was a lad from Middlesbrough. And he was going to win because Cameron won it, but this guy odds on to win it. But on the final stretch, he said something in a conversation which was unbelievable. Like I know I'm spoiling by not saying what he said, but I just can't. I wouldn't want to repeat it. And he had to be removed. And along the way, there was going back to Big Brother. What was it? Big Brother 7, the one with Nick Raymond. It was a really amazing bunch of housemates in there, all walks of life, and they had this posh girl in. It was really nice, and it was just after we'd had that controversy. So was it Big Brother 7? With Shilpa Shetty, so I think, where racism was said, and this girl, there was a girl, there was a black girl lady called Charlie in it, Charlie Uchiha or something, Uchiha or something like that. And she was a great housemate. And this girl, this woman, young woman, she just came out with the N-word. How are you doing, mate? You know, and she came out with the N-word, and the producers were absolutely gutted because she said it as a joke. And I guess like with rap music and everything, and she was like being a bit like jivey or whatever the term was. But she just said an unacceptable word as a sort of how are you doing?
Yeah.
And Charlie looked at us and said, you can't say that. And the producers were gutted because they had to take her out, you know, because of the you know, and rightly so. It was just untenable after that. So, but yeah, so I think Big Brother has dealt with all that, and I think we were at the sort of the forefront of a lot of that, a lot of change in TV. Now, I've never seen this, right? But just before there was a scandal, the Shilpa Shetty thing and Jade Goody's scandal, which basically was the reason why Channel 4 dropped it, although they didn't end up dropping it till about 2 years later anyway. But, can I say this? I have said this before, but because I haven't got any visual proof of it, I'm not going to name names, but there was a big show on TV where they have contestants on, and they have contestants who they like to ridicule before they pick their ones that they really like. And this person who's on the judging panel, this Asian Oriental woman came in to audition, and this guy said, come on, ping pong, ching chong, whatever your name is.
Oh my
and
God.
Nobody batted an eyelid. Nobody said F all. And I was just like, oh my God. And then a few weeks later, we started our Celebrity Big Brother, and boom, you know, through you know, anyway. So we were at the forefront of all that. We had questions asked about us in Parliament. The producers were, you know, they had to go to court, like an Ofcom court, where they literally had to go through. Well, what did you do? Well, how did you dress this? And you know, and the producers, rightly so, Channel 4, rightly so, everybody involved had to look at themselves and evolve, because you know it was a great show, and it was you know, and it was a shame to leave Channel 4, because I think Channel 4 was a natural place for it, because it, you know, and I think we did learn a lot of things. Oh goodness me, if you go back to even you think about Big Brother 2. Well, Big Brother 1, I saw somebody that posted an article from The Guardian or somebody that did. It said, oh, how it's all changed, the innocent early days of Big Brother 1. And I thought, give over. In the first few days of Big Brother 1, all the housemates, all of them, they took all their clothes off, got stark bollock naked. They had a mud fight, rolled in mud, and then all had plastered their naked bodies, willies and all, boobs and willies and all, against the walls and did mud prints. And then they all had a naked shower together, you know. So some things never change. Big Brother 2, this is my point. Brian Dowling he came out on TV. He came out and he was lovable, funny, hilarious, but he had never come out as far as, you know, I might be putting words in his mouth, but I'm pretty sure he came out to his family even on on TV, which was big. It was the biggest show on TV, and so that was a big thing. And then we had things like you know, Jade. I remember watching Jade come on and going, oh my God, my ears hurt. She was just full on. Nobody had met anybody like Jade before on TV. Well, so we thought, you know, and because she was a one-off original, and she really had the X factor. And you know, I met Jade, and she just had it. She just had it in spades. Some people do, don't they? And people like, so we were being introduced to people, different people, different class of person sometimes. And then, you think of people like Nadia, a transgender woman winning the show. And, if you probably could dissect quite a few of them, and people, going through the show going, oh my God, that was a first. That was a first, And yeah, so I think and I think that's why the show is such a great format, but it has to develop relatively organically. Obviously, if you've got tasks in there, and as simple or as grandiose as they may be, it doesn't matter. That all like pulls the strings and manipulates it slightly, and Big Brother has a final say, and and people locked up, 10 to 15 people locked up in in a closed environment, 24 hours a day, sleeping in the same rooms and beds. It'd be terrible, wouldn't it? I couldn't survive. And no wonder there are situations that evolve, and confrontations, etc.
I was actually going to ask you that. I was going to ask you that question. I was like, I've got another question, but I was going to ask you that. With you working on the show and things like that, could you actually, like, you've seen obviously stuff we didn't see, and you obviously, because that's the way telly works. But could you be in Big Brother if they were like, do you know what? We kind of want you to go in because then people will give you a face. Would you be like, yeah, or would you be like, no chance?
Well, do you know what the thing is? Yeah. I got asked, God, was it in about 2018 and 19? I got asked to do this Channel 5 show. And do you know what? I can't remember what it's called, and I think it got broadcast for a couple of series where people were in like there was various sort of inmates where you were in like a cell by yourself 24/7 for maybe it's about 10 days or something. And I just thought, no way on God's earth. But, there's always a price. And I said something stupid. They offered me about $5,000 to do it. I'm not a rich man, but no way that it's going to really. I said something, I'll do it for 35,000 or something like that, which is not a hell of a lot if in that type of world. But so I mentioned it, so I turned it down. I just outpriced myself because I thought there's no way I'm going to suffer. But these, I'm not classing myself as a celebrity, but if I was to go in, I'd be, because let's face it, there's been housemates in all of these TV shows that I've gone, who? I've really thought, who? Whereas if I went in the show, a show, people would equally go, who? Oh yeah, whatever. So it's not out of this world that I would get asked to do something. But so if I did, it'd have to be financial, and that's what it comes down to. Would I put myself free? No way on God's earth. Because we all think we're great, or we should. If we like ourselves, that's my belt. We all think we're great. We all think we're, but we've all got other sides, haven't we? You can be grumpy, or quiet, or all the different sides that you really don't want to sort of air out in public. And plus, some of those other housemates would irritate the shit out of me. So, but it would have to be for a fortune,
Yeah. Thing is, so it's kind of like, and I know it's obviously not, but it's kind of like solitary confinement in a way, because you're literally stuck there for, as you're saying, the whole time. You can't move, you can't go. I don't think a lot of people actually realized that when they were like going on it. They're like, yeah, I'm going to become famous, make money and all this, but you can't leave that bit at all.
And in the beginning, yeah, absolutely. And that bit about making money for the original civilian housemates, they made the successful ones made a relative fortune. You know, they'd made a lot of money because in those days, the magazines, the OK magazines, the Hello magazines, they paid a lot of money. I remember one of the housemates. This is around Big Brother 2, a female housemate signed a deal, and because we used to do an omnibus edition of all the week's shows on a Saturday, and when we'd finished the show, like the finale was on the Friday, we'd finished, but I had to go in the next day and make the omnibus, the last show when everybody gone home really. And I remember one of the producers saying to me, "Hey, so and so, this female housemate, I'm so pleased. She's just signed a deal with Hello for 250 grand, you know." And that this person didn't even win the show. So there was a lot of money in those days. But of course, less and less as, you know, and I think the magazines these days don't pay that type of money. They just haven't got it. And it's just not there for whatever reason. Probably because people aren't buying them, because it's all online on Instagram, etc., for free. But yeah, and then to the celebrities. Now, a lot of the fans say, "Oh, you know, back in the Channel 4 days," and we look back with rose-tinted glasses. But I think what is undeniable is, to me, is that Celebrity Big Brother got better and better and better, and it was better on Channel 4, 5. It got better and better because in the early days on Channel 4, a lot of the housemates used to moan, "Oh, I'm just doing this for the money." I know they all were just doing it for the money, not stupid, but they didn't used to participate in some off, and they try and get themselves evicted just because the money didn't. But I think the producers sorted that out in the end, and the housemates seem to want to be there in general and participate and have fun. The celebrities I'm talking about, you know, and I just think it got better and better. And you've only got to think of something like, which I believe is by far, and I am biased, the greatest reality TV moment of all time is the Celebrity Big Brother of David's Dead. And 16, 17, 27, when it just so happened we had David Bowie's ex-wife Angie in the house, and David guest and what have you, and she was told in the diary room that David Bowie in real life had died on the outside, and she told somebody, and it was this great big confusion when they thought David Guest was dead. So if you haven't seen it, look it up. It is absolutely gobsmacking, hilarious and cringeworthy. It's the greatest reality TV moment of all time, bar none.
That's always fast. That, to be honest with you, that's one of the huge things that really fascinated me. I was like, I wonder, because obviously social media was huge then, the internet, all this sort of stuff, YouTube, all this, like everything you could have done, you could think of that you were going to be on. But at the same time, you didn't have your phones, you didn't have nothing. So I wonder what it would like. It just, if you get what I'm trying to say, I wonder what it would be like to not have the access and the ability to that type of stuff, and then knowing that you're actually creating some of the, like you're saying, some of the best TV moments at the time. That's something that, you know.
Yeah, I think
fascinates me.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, when it first started, like there was no Facebook, Twitter, everything. There was nothing, was there really? There was blogs and people's opinions, and the newspapers and magazines, and lots of them, and it was just different. And now mobile phones could just text and play little games on them. That was it, you know. And it all changed a few years later, even Big Brother gone 3 years. We've got TikTok now. It's gone massive. TikTok, you know, things like that, and Instagram and Facebook have evolved, and Twitter has. It's all evolving all the time, and you know, it's even things like at one point, because I was looking through some old contacts the other day, and I remembered that when would it be? About 2010 or 11. I did a podcast. It was the Big Brother podcast, and I did a lot of voice work on that. And it was people, and it was hosted by what was he called? His grandfather was Dracula. Christopher Lee. There's a presenter called something Lee. Anyway, I'm sorry, he might have even been on Little Brother and things like that. Really lovely chap. Anyway, nevertheless, it was hosted by him, his podcast, and think of how big it was before podcasts. I mean, what's a podcast? It would have been one, but it wasn't. I guess it wasn't particularly successful, or maybe it was, but they only did it for one series. But of course, unbelievably, the podcast has just taken over the world. Now we've all got microphones and computers in our hands. So Big Brother sort of missed out on a bit of that. So there's all sorts of ways. They get money from all these things, don't they? They have official sponsored accounts, and there's lots of because TV programs are so expensive, they have to make money, don't they? And there's all different ways to do it.
Yeah,
I'm offering. I mean, I can't even remember the question, but
it's all good. Honestly, that it's great to hear everything as well. And the thing that when I told a few people that I had you on, I was really excited, as I said to you. And the one thing they did say to me that if Big Brother was to come back and be the old Big Brother and stuff like that, do you think it would be with Channel 4 or something like Channel 5 or Sky or anything like that? Or do you think Netflix would be like, or Amazon Prime would be like, wait a minute, if we had that on our program, could we take that over? Do you think they would go somewhere that way, like on a streaming service versus national TV?
I'm sure. Why not? There's absolutely no reason to anything. I mean, I'm a lot older than you, but I very rarely watch linear TV, and I very rarely. If I'm watching the BBC, I'm watching something catch up on the iPlayer. Same with ITV or the other channels, Channel 4. I never ever put the TV on properly or watch Netflix. I'm sure that's all your generation are doing as well, and it's how we watch TV these days. And so why not? It's on Netflix. It would get I watched. I don't know if it doesn't really matter, but I watch a program on the Disney Channel called This Is Us. I love it. It's a drama, and it comes out every week. Once a week it comes out. It's not at the moment. It's not all just released on at once like a lot of it is, and so you still watch TV like that. So there's absolutely no reason why Netflix, Amazon, etc., a platform couldn't have it on. Who knows? I have absolutely no idea. There are rumours that I heard. I'm not hearing anything at the moment, to be brutally honest. I haven't heard now for ages. But we did a show last year. Sorry, 2020, in the middle of lockdown, was it called Big Brother's Best Bits? And it was Davina and Rylan looking back at some of the shows, and then showing the show every night for about a week or 2 weeks. About the Channel 4 era, and that went down really, really well. It went down really well, although it's often very hard to watch like an episode from a random or a good episode from a really good series, but out of context. You're watching, it's very, but it still was very successful. And there were, I heard there was rumours in the paper, they could be looking at it, Channel 4, and, but. And I got a little bit excited, I must admit, thinking, oh my God, but didn't hear anything, so, but I know that one day, I'll get a phone call. That's, or it's usually, to tell you the truth, it'll be in the newspapers or the online editions. There's a really good guy from the Daily Star called Ed Gleave, and he is as far as I think, he's the entertainment chief reporter at the Daily Star, and he used to always get the goss before anyone else. So I just like I keep my ears peeled, my eyes peeled to look, for rumours in the paper first, and then if it comes true, I guess I'll start getting messages from friends and things, and then hopefully a phone call. So I totally expect that one day. But I think I felt that Channel. I know you're not asking me this, but I think Channel 5. When it first started on Channel 5 in 2011, it was a different world. We had it was owned by a different company. It was owned by what's his face? I've gone blank. Anyway, I've already mentioned Richard Desmond. He was only the owner, but everybody was so excited to have it. But by the end, you could tell they didn't give a shit. Paid for it. I know. I mean, they did something really weird, Channel 5. Now, they have all the creatives, the creative people who are making what we call the promos, the adverts for the shows. And when I do a voiceover, it's my job, it's my livelihood. I always got paid for doing it. I always got paid my rate for doing a job. To do a promo, if I had to do starting Thursday, Channel 5, 8 o'clock, whatever, Big Brother, whatever. I'd go into studios, I'd record it. It was a day's, I got paid as a voiceover. And then they did a strange thing. They suddenly, about 2015, somebody went through my contract, and in my contract, they saw that there was a line in it where I said that I had to be available for publicity. So that means that when Ryland, it'll be in Ryland, it would have been in Ryland and Emma's contract that they would be, if there was a press event, they would get it. They'd get picked up by a car, or whatever, but they wouldn't get paid for it, And they said these promos are part of that. I was really, really not happy. But what can you do? They've interpreted their contract. Fair enough. And I got paid for promos from the beginning. And that little line, and I thought, that's not fair, but I'm not going to argue. It's my job. But they started not you, even though. So this is what I mentioned, that it wasn't costing them any money. But for about the last 3 years on Channel 5, I didn't do any promos. They'd get anyone. And I couldn't believe it. I'm free. I'm literally free. And I wanted to do them because it was my show. And I know I'm talking about myself. But if you were in a room and you're not really looking at TV, or you're looking at your phone, and TV's on, and you hear a voice go, Big Brother starts Thursday, the 9th of January on Channel 5. You're going to go, without even looking up, you're going to know who it is, right? You're going to know what that person's talking about. Exactly. Why, as a producer, when you don't have to pay me anything, have that on your promo? And I'm mentioning that because if you see it, I'm saying, I think it was just evidence that they weren't thinking. They didn't, and I could have, the creatives there that were phenomenal. They were great. They still did the filming of it all. But why wouldn't somebody want my voice on that? So it's 3 years, the last 3 years. So that I sounding bitter about that because I am a little bit thinking, that's my show. It's our show. Don't have me. I'm not saying have Ryland do it then. No, they'd have some random voiceover dude or woman, random.
The thing is, as well, is that it would be like it would be like going out to your car outside and then taking the exhaust off and then wondering why it's not working. It'd be the same thing. Like
saying that to blow my up, because I know that I am the sound. It's like the music. If it came back and they did another fucking tune, it'd be mental, wouldn't it? It'd be mental. You'd be like going, what? Now, I'm not saying that I'm irreplaceable, because as time goes on, you don't know what anyone's going to do, because there's always somebody, just like these Channel 5 creatives that for the last 3 years would put a random dude on the voiceover. There's always some fucking idiot who'll go make a contrary decision, you know. Just think of everything that's going out in the world at the moment. You know, about vaccines or whatever, or the politics, and you're thinking, how on earth can that person think like that? But so, you know, people do make decisions, and I've been in, you know, situations, and that's how I tell my kids. I've been in situations in production meetings, not just a Big Brother, at Channel 4 when I was announcer. You know, when we that's quite an involved job. You meet with lawyers and executives, and you're seeing what's going to be on the TV that night. It's very highly involved, whatever. And I would literally be sitting around a table with, say, 8 to 10 people, and somebody would say something, and I'd think, what the fuck? I wouldn't say it. You got, that person's on 120 grand a year, like a big way, and you're a fucking idiot, you know. You know, you just think, yeah, because not everybody, but we've all got differing opinions and ways of doing it, and you know, but sometimes they're just wrong. You know, it's it's like a football manager coming into a situation and trying to change the culture at a club and just getting it wrong. Some people just get it wrong, and some people shouldn't be in their job, should they?
Yeah, it's very true. But I do want to know like a bit about because we spoke about Big Brother a lot, but I do want to know a bit about yourself as well. Like, when did you? I know you went to grammar school and that, but when were you like, you know, I actually want to get into, you know, acting and things like that? Why did you choose that over like I don't know, maybe being, just because you mentioned it, maybe being a lawyer.
You've been listening to Inkylesconvo. I left school in the mid-80s when there was mass unemployment, when people I had friends who were, say, really clever or whatever. There was no jobs, and they were going trying to be policemen, and they weren't getting those jobs because jobs was so hard. So there was nothing. I was dreamy, and I went to sixth form college, and you know, when you get, in my experience, when you get to about sixth form, you start to sort of be yourself and experiment. You throw off the uniform, you start whatever, and discover girls or boys or whatever, and you start training to be an adult. And I had daydreams, which we all should have always. What I want to do, I'm going to, you know. And my sister was in a college play, and I thought, I'd love to do that. And I went and auditioned, and I had, probably still got, I don't do it. I had a really good singing voice, and I got in. I got the lead in the show. And I loved the attention and everything I got from it. And I was like living my dream even then. And that's what I say to everybody, you know, even though you might just be, and so I propelled myself, and then I did other stuff, and I started auditioning. I was hungry for it. And then I did a foundation course, and then eventually I went to drama. Then I did a work for a little, you know, professionally, a little theatre company up in the northeast, and then I went to drama school, and etc. And here we are now. But you know, even on every level, you know, not everybody can be famous. They can't all be James Bond. Can't all be, you know, playing Hamlet at the Royal Shakespeare Company. But we can all do something. There's some, you know, and every single one of those steps was a dream for me, being, the lead in a musical that might have been a very good amateur production, to going to drama school and doing all those shows, and then coming into rep and doing what I did at rep, and then doing all the little bits and bobs on TV, and and I even I've been all the way through Big Brother, and Big Brother was the 18 years of Big Brother was intense for me, because I was not only doing Big Brother, I was doing Big Brother, I was doing, it got to about 13 weeks in the summer. 13 weeks every single day. And I'm not complaining, I loved it. Tiring though, and maybe it's 5 weeks for celebrity in the winter. And then there's the preparation either side of that, doing all the promos and the press stuff, and the phone call press stuff, the meeting, the photographs. It was a full-on thing. And then at the same time, I got myself a job at Channel 4 as an announcer, and that was 10 years of that. So, and then I was doing all the other voiceovers surrounded like that. I had so much work. It was like, I was living the dream. It was absolutely fantastic. So I mentioned that because I didn't really have time to do any acting, but I thought one day I'm going to get back into it. I'm getting quite slouchy now. I'm going to get back into that, because being an actor, I went to drama school for 3 years. I've done, theatre, but, I did a short film the other year and things like that, but I really want to try and get my hand back in. And it's very difficult, because what obviously I've been doing for last year, a few years ago, this is my CV. And of course, I even got offered from a friend, it would have been during lockdown, so the end of 2020, a job. She said, I've put you forward for this job. And it was a film, it was a little short film, and a really good part in it. And I couldn't do it because I just accepted this opening of a Dunelm store in Gateshead of all the times. It was like in those little gaps when lockdown was coming in and out and all that type of thing. And it was like sod's law. Anyway, but I say to my kids, just always have a dream. It doesn't matter, everything's a success, If you're an artist, you tell a bit of art, that's a success. You make a bit of art, that's a success, We all can't be. Oh, are you still there? There you go.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all
right. My battery's going, I've got about 10% left. So, yeah. So, anyway, I'm waffling on, but, please forgive that.
No, it's all good, and I won't keep you too much longer, but because don't want your phone dying and everything. Like, where never did it go? But like you're from a personal point of view, like I've always been in touch with always wanted to do media, always wanted to have my voice out there type thing. So I kind of already knew who you were. And you were saying that if you went in, I don't know if like people who knew who you were. I think in this day and age, everybody probably does know who you are, and probably is going to be like, even like I said to you, because obviously people listen to this on Spotify and stuff like that, they won't even need to look at the title of the name. They'll know your voice. Like, this is the thing, is that I think if you were to go in the show, it would be really good fun. But on the other hand, and the other time, I think it would be that it might actually ruin it, because your voice wouldn't be there. Like, everybody would be expecting to hear that, and they're like, where did he go?
Yeah. And I would have to be careful, wouldn't I? Go, right, right, we're going to give you all this money to go in. And this is hypothetical, and it'd be stupid, because I don't think I'd actually be a good housemate. But if I did, and go, I'd have to be able to call the diary room every day to do the voiceover, and then that would be complete conflict of interests. So I don't know. It's all isn't it? It's all hypothetical. But I mean, it was such a big deal for me. I mean, people may remember that in 2010, obviously a long time ago now, it was the last show on Channel 4, and it was Big Brother 11, and it was the one that Josie Gibson won. An absolutely fabulous series. It was a fabulous series, that, and I went in the house. We did this task, which I think is the greatest task of all time. It's a week-long task, and it was called "Ignore the Obvious." And I had to they had like the housemates had to ignore any weird things that happened. They had a lot of Japanese tourists came in the house and took photographs of them all, and they were just like ignore it. They had someone's grandfather came in who we hadn't seen for years as Father Christmas. There was weird thing. Celebrities came in. Davina came in and swam in the pool with them and all this type of thing. And I came in the house and narrated live. And it was such fun. But you know what? It was such a big deal for me because it was such a big part of my life. Seeing these people on the screen and all of a sudden in there with them, in the house with them, narrating them live. And I think in actuality, they only played maybe 3 or 4 minutes of me being in the house. One famous thing was where one of the lads, a lad called John James, sneakily passed me a Jaffa cake, and I narrated the fact that I was being given a Jaffa cake and all this type of thing. But in there for a couple of hours, I got into bed with them. And they had to ignore me. They were trying to embarrass me by talking about sadomasochism and whatever. And I would narrate that really dryly. Some of the housemates are in bed talking about sadomasochism, and they'd just crack up and they'd lose points for this. So I went in the house. It was great and very strange. Very, it's a lot smaller than you think, and claustrophobic and smelly, dirty. It's not picked up so much on cameras, but yeah. I don't think I'd go in. No, I like my job. If it comes back, I hope I've still got my job, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's again, it's not often you get to speak to like people you look up to. So sorry everybody that's listening if I'm a bit like stuttery a little bit, but
I stutter naturally. I think the thing is, we all do, don't we? Look at the Prime Minister. A Prime Minister. Let's take politics out of the situation. The Prime Minister can't string a sentence together very rarely. Not talking about politics, but he does an appalling job at public speaking, And I'm not saying that I'm any good, but and I've mostly got a script. But my goodness, you've got to be able in that position to string a sentence or two together and be coherent. And it is, we all stutter and stammer and go, especially when we're speaking off the cuff. But
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's just it's about knowing what you're talking about in that, but. Something I'm curious about, right, outside of like Big Brother and outside of the better side of life, we'll say, see when you're obviously going through that bit, and I know you're saying you had a lot of success and obviously you ended up hitting up big time and things. See when you did get like the no's or that, or like maybe you tried to get something and you didn't get it. How did you manage to stay like driven at that point, being like, was it just because you literally had that goal for so long, or was it just?
I think the thing is, I'm pretty easy going, and the thing is, I know how difficult it is, and that's what I'd go reiterate. That's anything. What is success? Success is just keep on working, and if you can, that's absolutely great. There's lots of knockbacks. I get knockbacks, still get knockbacks. I'm in the position at the moment of my voiceover agent, and I think I found somebody now, and I will go, because the thing is sometimes it gets a little stale. I was doing actually quite well with my recent agent, but I just didn't like the person, and I thought, don't like you, and so I've moved on. And point of bringing this up, that I've messaged a few people, and some of them haven't even got back to me. The voiceover agents, so that's like ghosting, really, isn't it?
So it's no, what were you gonna say?
And I'm quite a successful voiceover guy, with quite a good pedigree, and yeah, so I get knocked, and I do work steadily, but there must be loads of things that, oh no, get knocked. They don't even know that you don't get knocked back, but knocked back for, or sometimes you do. So somebody said, I often get like contacts, or would you be up for doing this? And then you never hear again, and so everybody does that. Some you got to even think at like movie star level. There must be people going, nah, who was I thinking about the other day? Somebody was talking about a really, really famous actress, Hollywood legend. I can't remember the name offhand, so I won't try. But she once got asked to audition for this really quite minor role in a film. She was American, so asking for a resume, and she went to the office, and she had a great big carpet bag, and she says, here's my resume, and she took out her 3 Oscars and put them on the desk. There's my resume. It's people just idiots sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah. No,
in that itself. But everybody, there's nobody who's not getting rejected, even at the top.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes about, like, as long as you never actually let that get you down. You know what I mean? That's the thing as well. Like, you always kind of stay driven and stay like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Or like, you have, like, for example, say somebody wants to be.
If you can keep on earning money, could keep on sort of surviving, that it's when you're not, or it gets quiet. I've had quiet times over the last 20 years, and sometimes I look back on those quiet times and go, weren't that quiet, but you get a little bit, you learn, it, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, it's a long time ago, and the world's evolved. You as a person evolves, and you go, and there's things that I think, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't reacted like that. Or you get, and sometimes you do get a little bit big-headed, or you think, and that's why I always bring it down to sort of, at the end of the day, that what I do, and what a lot of these voiceovers, you've got certain skills, and some people like your voice fits certain things, whatever. But really, most people are just reading out loud, aren't they? We're reading out loud. We're doing a job, but at the end of the day, for ages, I won an award about 3 years ago. There's a big voiceover, big voiceover industry group called One Voice, and it's like massive. And I won their first voiceover legend award, and and I think it was that point where I realized, oh yeah, I am a voiceover. It was always something I thought, I'm an actor who just, this is how I make a living, and I'm very proud of what I've done, right? But it's not like going back to like playing Hamlet at the Royal Shakespeare Company. You think we need to get a grip sometimes, and some people, there's a load of sort of voiceover people out there, and there's coaches and all this type of thing, and there's people making money out of coaching people and whatever. And you just think, good Lord, I read one the other day, because I get a lot on my timeline. It was use your head voice, your chest voice, which is whatever. And I think, oh my God, what are you talking about? Well, I mean, you listen to I know I'm waffling on now, and it's not a question you've asked, but you listen to your television, listen to your. We're getting a little bit urban and streetwise at the moment with voiceovers. You got a bit of that going on, but invariably, you got it seems like we've got the same woman doing adverts for everything that's sort of, posh, sexy, slightly sexy, whatever. Not sexy type. Listen, out there, use the same type of voices for everything, you know.
Calm
As
and
people,
going voices.
people, would you say, you know, your success and what have you, and go, well, you know, the people who really have got the success are the people that you don't even know their names because they do everything. Do everything. I mean, I've got well-known voice. I will get chosen because of that these days. You know, like Sean Bean, who's obviously he's a famous actor, but he does loads of. He's got a lovely voice, a lovely Northern Yorkshire, Sheffield accent. You know, and I love that. I love that about, you know, the Scots. I love all that. You know. You know, I love the beautiful variations of our country. And there's something on a voiceover site the other day going, there's the Northern Irish accent has been voted the least popular in the country. And I thought, oh my God, the Northern Irish accent is gorgeous. You know, it's absolutely. I think Southern Ireland was number one. Geordie maybe was number 3 or something, whatever. And then you got like Liverpool and then Birmingham. I love the Birmingham accent as well. But the Northern Irish accent is really special. I think it's gorgeous. And, you know, all matter of taste, isn't it? But people take notice of all that shit. And those people getting offended and hurt and thinking they'd never work again and whatever. And it's all subjective, isn't it? You know. But you listen, same posh English women doing the same fucking voiceovers, you know.
No, what I was going to say was, you know, it's a question I do want to, I do want to ask you though. Is like, say there's somebody, and it's completely different from what you were just saying, but say there's somebody that wants to get into voice acting and, you know, talking over or anything like that. What would be some advice you would give them? This is not for me, by the way, because I don't think I have that great a voice. But
really contradict myself. There's a really good. I've got a couple of coaches. There's a really good guy called, and I worked with him at Channel 4. It was an ex-Channel 4 announcer. It's called Gary Terza. Gary T, and his Terza is something like TERRZA, and he runs a beginners voiceover training course, and he's absolutely brilliant. I would send you know, get some money together and go somewhere like that, and you get all the instructions. But you got to make a show reel, and you know, as I said, even for me to get like, you know, a new voiceover agent, it can prove difficult at times. You know, so somebody just starting off, like one of those things. Everybody thinks they can do it, and you just look, there are thousands. Go on LinkedIn, put voiceover artists. You'd be there till Christmas going through, you know, the people that consider themselves voiceovers, and there'll be invariably, I guess, they'll be really good people, you know. I mean, I've done speeches and all sorts over the years at like sort of conferences and what have you about voiceovers, and you're just thinking, you know, I've had success. I had luck. Just like some one of these actors has luck. How do they get that? I don't know. And you just see all these hungry people looking up you for advice and going, how did he get that? The lucky jammy get, you know? And I think, yeah, that's what it is, you know. But I had time to evolve and to use my, you know, and my voice to become, you know, synonymous with, you know, and recognized. And so, you know, that's what I did, you know. But yeah, so I would send them to somebody like that. And then he would advise them, and you know, because people get told, "Oh, I always get told I've got a lovely voice, whatever." Well, you probably have, you know, but you know, there's fashions in voice. Like I said, you can hear it now. It's very urban, sort of that London. Well, any. I don't know what it's like up in Scotland, but you know, a lot of the British cities, they have this sort of like Jamaican twang on the end of everything, you know. You know, street-wise voice. You know, just whatever, you know, and just get out there, just be brave, and then you've got to sort of try and get like an agent or just pester the radio companies and get on there, and you know, I mean, that's what I was doing when I was connecting. You know, I was connecting the podcast people because, you know, it's not just to come on podcasts or to make podcasts. It's like to get work from people, making podcasts. Go, oh, can you do as a voiceover? Yeah, great, brilliant, whatever. How much? But, trying to make a living, that's what it's like,
Totally, I totally agree with you as well. Well, what I will do, because I don't want your phone to die halfway through the podcast. Yeah, what I will say then is that I do want to well, here's a question, actually, a good question to end on, is that with social media being so big now, right? And I'll get your social medias from everybody, at the very end. But with social media being so big now, do you think you could necessarily, in your opinion, do you think you can necessarily get a huge following, be really famous, and then turn out and be like, and then turn up and then maybe get into voiceover that way?
Yeah, don't see why not. Just listen to your question there. So you can even put episodes of shows and things, and I had an idea with a friend the other day, because I want to get, as I said before, I want to get back into acting, and I get lots of things on your Facebook, and one of them was this American thing. Is it called College Humor or something like that? And it's basically a sketch show. And every now and again, and of course, it goes around. I thought, I said to my mate, he's a similar age to me. I said, do you know what we should do? We should do some middle-aged men sort of, find the right material and we just put it out there. It creates it. You've got to be in social media. I actually like social media, I really do. It can have its negative sides, but as long as you don't be too verbal about your opinions, unless it's something like that horrible West Ham guy kicking a cat, I'll give my opinion about that. That idiot,
Yeah.
Or, something horrible like that, your opinion. But, you stay out of politics, keep your nose clean, and just, get your stuff out there. Social media can be really, really good. It can be informative. And it's as good as you want to make it. I love Instagram and whatever, but yeah, you could just do your own thing, couldn't you? It has to be of a certain quality, and then you might I do a little. I started, I've faded off on TikTok, but I like TikTok. But I was doing some sort of during lockdown. I was doing the odd little thing on TikTok. I live in Bristol, and so I was going around Bristol, sort of, this is whatever, or I'd go up to Gateshead or wherever, and this is the Angel of the North, and I'd give a little bit of history. And I thought it's quite informative, little things. I must get back on that. And I thought, you know what, it'd be a nice little thing. Somebody sees my TikTok, likes my little voice, little 30, 10-second voiceover on it, which I've recorded on my phone. I get a job. Who knows? It's like doing your podcast today. You don't know who's listening to it. Go, forgot about Marcus. Or should we give him a job? Give him a job. You've got to do it. I haven't got many regrets, but when I first started doing Big Brother for many years, as I've just said, I had that much work. It was ridiculous, and my children were babies, and then toddlers, and then taking them to school when they got old enough, and I couldn't be asked to do such a lot. And I thought of myself as this voiceover guy also, and then I had my serious acting side that I hope to pursue one day, and I never did. Hopefully will do in the future. But I turned down tons of stuff. Like I turned down Ready Steady Cook, loads of stuff. Graham Norton show, which is on Channel 4 in those days, not quite as glitzy as it is these days. I turned down loads because I thought, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be sort of known for my face or whatever. I don't want, And if I've got any regrets, I wish I'd done them. I wish I could look back on them now, But anyway, I did a lot. I did a lot anyway, during the hair years, etc. But so. Yeah, I can't remember why I'm sort of talking about that now, because as I say, I waffle on, but it's just, I haven't got many regrets, but that's to do with social media, being out there, throwing enough mud against the wall, that things will come from it. Work develops, which is why other people in other mediums, artists, dancers, whatever, they will put their stuff on Instagram Reels or post just to go, and all of a sudden somebody discovers them. My wife is a children's book author illustrator, and she's quite prolific on Instagram. Jules Bentley illustration, look out for it. And she always puts something on Facebook. And the other week she got she got a commission to illustrate a children's magazine in France, of all places, a French magazine for children, so like a glorified comic, really. But she had to illustrate those of it. So what I'm saying is, social media can be wonderful, as well. It's a great platform. I mean, you just think, it's not my world. You think of all the YouTubers. I remember 2-3 years ago, I was in the barber's getting a haircut, and on the wall, this great big TV. And I was sitting next to this young lad, about 15 years old. And on the screen was a lad playing a video game. I said, "What are you watching there?" He says, "Oh, see this guy, it's whatever. He's got 8 million subscribers and he makes $1 million a year or whatever it was, $5 million a year through playing computer games and recording himself." So that's not my world, but it's somebody's world, The world it's changed, hasn't it? It's beyond recognition it was 20 years ago, Think of that. Somebody, and there's people, and I presume he does, but there was a guy on Big Brother. What was his real name? Jack. Was he called Jack? His nickname was Pie Face. And he is actually famous, I think, for being a FIFA guy, playing FIFA on YouTube. I don't understand how this works, but I'm told that he's always opening packs and having games and whatever. And they make a living through playing FIFA online. Mm-hmm. I don't know how, but they do. Different world, I know that's not quite social media, sort of is, but you can put anything within reason on Facebook and broadcast it. Going back to your earlier question, and yeah, why not? If somebody likes your voice, somebody likes your face, think of there's always, isn't it? Look at TikTok. There's always. There's always a current trend, isn't there? Almost weekly. Yeah. There'll be somebody that has done something. Do you remember the guy a couple of years ago who was on the skateboard to a Fleetwood Mac song, drinking a? Do you remember the meme? It was. Do they call it a meme? I don't know. It basically, it was a thing. It was this sort of Latino guy. And he was. I think he might have even been middle aged, and he was on a skateboard drinking a carton of juice to a Fleetwood Mac song, and it was an internet sensation. So much so that I think he made money out of it, and a lot of money, just doing this one thing, and people were copying it. It was a thing. So yeah, it can be phenomenal, can't it? Social media, just that one thing. And I quite like it like that, and then it's all over, and people try and replicate it, and they can't, and yeah.
On that note, right before we go, I do want to ask you. You're saying you want to get into acting and all this. I won't ask what's your 5-year plan, that because no one knows. That's such a cliche question to ask somebody. But what would you say is apart from acting and maybe voiceover work within your future type thing, what would you say is something else you want to get into? Maybe a different venture or something like that.
I think that for me, like I said earlier, from whatever is just to keep working, and I want to do as well as the voiceover. My voiceover world is a lot more. There's a lot more to it. I do a lot of events. Mm-hmm. Where award ceremonies and events, and it often calls for something we call the voice of God. It's come from the Greek Roman like amphitheaters, where it was from the gods, but so it's a voice from the gods. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Michael McIntyre, or whatever. That's a voice of God in the awards this evening is, and so he's like a voiceover that conducts the evening alongside the presenter. And I do a lot of that type of thing. And what I've recently got into last year is I've got into hosting, being the host, which is a complete. I'm an actor originally, and I had to treat it like that, thinking because somebody asked me to do it. Because normally I'm unseen or I'm at a platform with a script, but all of a sudden I've got to host, I've got to tell a tale, and so that's what I'm getting into currently. That's a bit of my plan, doing more of that, which is it was a little bit out of my comfort zone. And as I say, I had to treat it like I'd learn lines in the script and be, I've worked with loads of top presenters. I've worked with Rylan on stage at an event, Jimmy Carr, Frankie Boyle, Jason Manford, Catherine Ryan, Eamon Holmes, me and them, but I'm normally to the side, or, that's another thing that I do. But for the first time last year, I stepped on stage and did it. I was the presenter, and it went down really, really well. So, but so I will do part of my plan to branch out. I've been seeing this for too long. I also want to get, as an actor and a voiceover, and I've been seeing this for too long, I want to get into the gaming and animation world. So, I won't keep you any longer, but much longer. But I once, years and years ago, I got this really good gig, whereas Nintendo did the gaming people, they did a big event. It was at the BAFTA theater, and they were basically launching all their new games and consoles at this particular time. This is about 15 years ago, and they brought up from the United States. They brought over the voice of Super Mario. I can't remember his name now, but he's a guy who does all the voices for all the games and whatever. In that little world, a massive superstar. It's like in that world, it's like bringing over, is it Frank Castle, whatever he's called, the guy who does Homer Simpson. He was mega. So this guy comes over, and I had to interview him in the Big Brother style. They got their little diary room and whatever, and he was absolutely fabulous. And I thought, he does all these little voices. Oh, Super Mario. Oh, well. I know how crap that sounded, but he does it really well. But that would be brilliant to do stuff like that. So I'd like to do stuff like that, and but that's, as I've just proved, it's harder than
Yeah, because you have to change your voice for certain things rather than being natural. You actually have to change it. That's one of the
you could also far, far away in the land. You could, the American accents, and hey, Joe. Well, you could be in a tank, tank commander. You got to be able to do it all, haven't you? So I'd like to do a bit of that, but we'll see. So there's all sorts of stuff to great fun. And like right at the beginning of this conversation, I was talking about ADR, this dubbing thing that I did on Billy Elliot and stuff like that. That was great fun. There's not even particularly much money in it. It's just you get paid a day's rate, which is nice. It's nice to be paid, but it's great fun as well. With a load of comrades and just getting on with it and having fun. I used to be doing some adverts. It can be real fun as well and funny. And I once did one with a load of people it was for a cider company, and they had about 20 actors there, and we were all getting pissed in a pub, and they were filming us, and we had a bit of script, and we had to sort of it can be great fun, So I just want to keep working, and and I think that's what that's what it is, and not be too picky. Just do it.
It's as well though. It's like what's that website called? Cameo. Is it Cameo? someone will be like tearing me to shreds in the comments here. I think it's Cameo, right? It's like
What was
voiceover
Cameo?
stuff. It's like I think it's
Oh yeah, yeah,
Cameo, yeah.
no, yeah. So yeah, Cameo. I don't do Cameo. I've been asked to do Cameo, but I do one called Memo.
Oh right, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Same thing, I think. So basically, you get like a you set yourself up. There's a load of them, and I've kept to one, and I've got like invites to do Cameo, and where's another one? I can't remember. There's loads of them, but I do one called Memo, where basically people will ask you to do something. You do video, and that was quite strange at first. So you get your phone, and then you say whatever. So and so can't come to the diary room. It's happy birthday, whatever for me, the voice of Big Brother, or whatever, or whatever they want you to say. And I've had to do marriage proposals for people, happy birthdays, congratulations on graduating, little things. This is Marcus, the voice of Big Brother. You have been evicted, whatever, all that type of stuff. And it's little daft things like that. That's all new as well, yeah. And I think it costs somebody like 20 quid or 25 quid or something like that. And it's nice. It's fun. It's a nice bit of, it's a little bit of money, and the company take their share, and there's all sorts of people on there. But even people like me. So it's a weird world out there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And on that note, though, I genuinely do want to thank you so much for your time, because as I say, you're definitely someone that I looked up to, and as soon as I realized, I was like, wait a minute, why does that name ring a bell? And then I was like, there's no way. So when I messaged you, I was like, I wonder if I highly doubt, because obviously it's weird when you as I said to people before, it's weird when I message people that I look up to necessarily, or that I know of, that I'm like, they do good work or something like that. They actually came on. So I do want to say, thank you for you coming on. It does mean a lot. It does mean a lot. But what are your social medias? Maybe like your Instagram or Twitter or something like that. So if somebody wants to grab a hold of you, they can go.
Well, I think on Instagram, I think it's Marcus the Voice Bentley. Mm. I think on Twitter, it's probably Marcus BB Bentley. And I'm probably Marcus the Voice Bentley on TikTok. Mm. And I must be Marcus. I can't remember. I think I'm Marcus Bentley, the voice of Big Brother, on Facebook. I can't remember. Facebook. I've got quite a lot of people on Facebook, and I always forget to update it on there. But I'm Twitter. I like Twitter, and I love Instagram. And Twitter and TikTok's quite interesting too. So
Yeah, TikTok. I do like TikTok. Some of those things are funny, and then when people come up about the conspiracy theories and that about being reptiles, I'm just like, y'all are like, way gone. Like, there's a lot of it's a very strange world at the moment, and I think there's such a lot of big egos out there that have got nothing better to do, and they're getting a lot of attention about whether it's some outrageous thing said in politics. And when you've got people like Donald Trump saying outrageous things, and Boris Johnson saying outrageous things, that I think, and people going, no, that's not true, but it sticks, doesn't it? They realise things stick. And so when you got people saying we're actually run by a load of lizard lords, and and this is a big conspiracy, we're all going to get microchipped, and etc., etc., etc. Anything, it could be anything. There's always somebody who's cashing in. You got to say, why? There's always somebody trying to make money out of it, sell a book, or whatever, or get hits on the internet. Who knows? It's a very strange world at the moment, so we got to take some of it with a pinch of salt. Yeah. And genuinely a true honor. Like, it's a true honor to have you on. And I do want to say to everyone is that thank you, Gribe, and I shall. It's honestly an honor. It's an honor. I'll see you all later. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cal. I'll see you soon now. All the best. Ta-ra. You've been listening to Inkylesconvo.